getting robbed. They took his they ran up on the Rockets, said, "Hey, run me your shoes," and they gave them to him. All right, yo guys, what's going on? It's your boy Aaron, and today back here with another upload, and we are going to be reacting to KOT4Q's or Kenny's 2021 NBA trade deadline reaction. So basically, this is just going to be me giving my own opinions, but also listening to what he has to say because I love Kenny. I think he's a really good YouTuber, really good, like, smart basketball mind, kind of in the community, like, and I think, everybody should hear this. So, but we're going to react to his and see what he thinks about it, and then I'll give my own opinions as well. So let's hop right into it.
And we back. Y'all, it is the trade deadline
Legendary. And we back from Kenny.
special as I'm recording this video. It is 2:15 Central Time. The trade deadline is over, but we still getting news. Victor Oladipo just got added to players being traded finally. But it don't look like it's a good package.
All right.
Be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new.
I gotta agree with that. The package for Victor Oladipo was terrible. Terrible.
We are here to talk about the trade deadline, and you see how excited Vucevic.
All right, so Kenny's a
to put
Bulls
together
fan.
good rosters. You know what I'm saying? It's that time. It's that time, man. So today's video, this was just me and the camera talking about basketball. Hit that where X leave is in the description, man. That's the link to the channel.
All right.
Video like this.
Let me go back and
but
put
the
his
trade
plug in
deadline
here.
is so extravagant that I thought we'd bring it on to the main. But if you do like a video like this, where it's just me and the camera talking about basketball, hit that first link in the description, man. That's the link to the channel where we
That will also be the first link in my description. Shout out to Kenny.
usually do the basketball talk. So y'all know today is the day where every NBA fan has fun. We're all just refreshing Twitter, trying to see what Shams and Woj have up their
Facts.
sleeve as far as news goes.
Facts.
The Golden State Warriors just traded Marquise Chris to the Spurs. Like, things are still going on 15 minutes after the deadline. It's always been a bit fishy. That I remember when I was it was like 30 minutes
All right,
relevant. Today we're really talking about the trades. Can you tell that I'm in first round picks and Otto Porter to get back this trade,
right.
of course, the Nikola Vucevic.
Here we go.
About the trades. Can you tell that I'm excited? So let's start off talking about the biggest trade, of course, the Nikola Vucevic trade. The Bulls gave up Wendell Carter, 2 first-round picks, and Otto Porter to get back Vucevic and Al-Farouq Aminu. Those 2 first-round picks are top 4 protected from everything I can tell, 2021 and 2023. Like I mentioned, man, I'm super excited. It's been a minute since the Bulls have been relevant, and been a minute since the Bulls have been competent enough to fight for a playoff spot. After I showed my excitement on Twitter, I did get a lot of people saying, like, Kenny, that's a lot to give up for a playoff appearance. Because at the end of the day, let's be honest, Zach LaVine and Vucevic aren't making us championship contenders, but we should be able to get into the playoffs. And as of right now, we've been so far out of the playoffs, I'm okay with just having a playoff berth. You know, we have 2 all-star caliber players
true,
right now.
honestly.
We have Patrick Williams, who I am a firm believer is going to progress and to be a great player in the league. So, yes, it's a trade where this year gets us into the playoffs, but next year we can be a top 4 seed. Then the year after that, we could be something. You know what I'm saying? It's
All right. He might be stretching it a bit. But I see what Kenny's saying here, and it makes sense because I, as a Clippers fan, I started being a Clippers fan around 2009 to 2011, around there somewhere. I haven't seen us really not make the playoffs yet. But I know, like, I feel like if my team wasn't in the playoffs for as many years as the Bulls have been, I would be, like, wanting anything to see playoff basketball, especially somebody like Kenny, who's a season ticket holder, goes to every game. Like, man, I would be so mad. Like, man, I want to see playoff basketball. Like, I love to see my team play in the playoffs. So I see what he's saying here. I definitely understand, and I think it's a good trade for the Bulls. Getting Vucevic, who is not a top 5 center in the league, but he's an all-star center, probably one of the better centers in the East. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who's a center in the East better than Vucevic. I'm sure there is one. My mind is not working. I just got done with like a 3-hour stream, so excuse me if I'm a little off. But I agree with what he's saying here. Wendell Carter is probably never going to be an all-star. He's maybe at most a starting caliber center. And the 2 picks is not that big of a deal when you're getting an all-star player back. And now what he said, maybe they can go farther than top 4 seed in a couple years, maybe, depending on the moves they make. But definitely they're a playoff team now, which is what they wanted. So
this is a trade for the now, but also for the future, because though Vucevic is 30 years old, the man has done nothing but get better every single.
Vucevic is not going to continue to get better. I think Vucevic has 2 to 3 more good years in him, and then he's going to fall off.
season, and now he gets to come to a big time market where people can care about him a little bit more, and well, the Bulls should be able to make the playoffs.
That's true, though. He will get a lot more recognition now.
Off season. The Bulls just traded for Daniel Tice live, baby.
So they got Daniel Tice as well, which gives them a little bit more.
Well, what I was gonna say
defense.
is what I don't like about our trade deadline is that we didn't get the biggest hole, and that is like big defenders, a guy that can defend the paint. Daniel Tice does help with that a bit, and we were
because let's be honest here, Vucevic is not a good defender.
Really in the Lonzo Ball sweepstakes, but nobody got Lonzo. If we were able to pull off that final trade,
he's an
for
average
Lonzo
defender,
Ball,
maybe.
Everything would have been amazing. This would have been the best trade deadline ever. I can still walk away from this as a Bulls fan and be super excited for everything to happen. But let's look at the other side of the coin, because the Orlando Magic had a fire sale, and I mean that. They traded away Vucevic, they traded away Evan Fournier, they traded away Aaron Gordon. They were gonna trade away Terrence Ross, but that didn't happen. Daniel Tice is on my team now. Sheesh. Terrence Ross was tweeting pictures of "I'm the captain now." Like, it's his team, at least until John Isaac and Markelle Fultz get back. So people are saying that the Orlando Magic get this fire sale, and every single trade they got fleeced. And you know what? I don't necessarily think so. When it comes to the Bulls trade, they get Wendell Carter.
I think the Magic got a good package as well. I mean, they got Wendell Carter, and they got 2 first-round picks, and Otto Porter, which Otto Porter is probably not going to really turn into anything for them. But the 2 first-round picks, and you got a good player in Wendell Carter who has some potential. I think that's a good trade-off for Vucevic, who at this point is just making you make the playoffs for no reason, because that's not what you're trying to do.
Though Wendell Carter has not been good this season, I am 100% confident that Wendell Carter will have a successful NBA career. Will he ever be an all-star? Probably not. But he's going to be one of those centers that can help you a long-term, a starter quality center. Maybe not now, but in the future. And when Orlando, now that they traded Vucevic away, it's just him and Mo Bamba, and I guess Kim Birch fighting for minutes.
I'm interested to see what Mo Bamba turns into as well.
They got Otto Porter, who will just be there for the rest of the season. And those 2 first-round picks, man, they said that they wanted a Drew Holiday-like package to get away Vucevic, and I think that's what they got. Now, some of the other trades are a bit iffy. The Evan Fournier for 2 second-round picks feels like an extreme.
That's a steal. Evan Fournier for 2 second-round picks. That's a steal. He averages like 20 points per game. He can easily be a top-tier 6 man in the league.
Underpaid. Shout out to Danny Ainge. I've been very critical of Danny Ainge in the past about how trades that he could have pulled off or could have done this. They get Evan Fournier, which at the end of the day helps their overall depth, because they didn't really have that much. Evan Fournier is averaging about 20 points per game this year. He can shoot. He can create for himself. He does help them a lot. And I kind of like this because it was rumored that they would be willing to give up Marcus Smart and Aaron Gordon.
If they gave up Marcus Smart, I think that would have been the dumbest move the Celtics could have made. But Danny Ainge getting Evan Fournier for 2 second-round picks is a steal, one of the biggest steals of the trade deadline. I'm saying it now, but if he would have gave up Marcus Smart, that would have been so dumb. Marcus Smart's such a good player. He's the heart and soul of that Celtics team.
Fournier deal, and that didn't happen. I'm sure we'll get more news about that as it comes out. But I think the Celtics walk away with this and be happy with what they got. But it doesn't push them to the contender that maybe they wanted to be at the beginning of the season, if you ask me. But they only gave up 2 second-round picks to give it a shot, so it's not that big of a deal. The Aaron Gordon trade to the Denver Nuggets is actually something I predicted to my homie Mike. I was like, Aaron Gordon will get traded for Gary Harris, R.J. Hampton, and a first. And that's exactly what they traded him for. I put together the perfect trade in the Xbox party, just me being me. So I think that trade helps the Denver Nuggets a ton. I mean, they lost out on Jeremy Grant, and if you look at them so far this season, they are still missing that.
It gives them a lot more offense. Aaron Gordon's still not a good defender like Jeremy Grant was, but it definitely gives them another offensive weapon who I think is going to play great with Nikola Jokic. Like, Jokic is already such a good playmaker, and then you add him a guy like Aaron Gordon, and that's a recipe for success for sure. That's going to be a dominant front court.
That bigger wing defender that can also guard a little bit of 3, also guard a little bit of 4 of what Jeremy Grant provided for him last season, because Paul Millsap is older in age. I don't trust Paul Millsap guarding LeBron in the playoff series. I don't know if I trust Aaron Gordon, but I trust him more than I trusted Paul Millsap.
I agree with that.
I think I said this before on my other channels, that I am a firm believer that Aaron, you'll be getting so many opportunities to just come. You're going to get playoff depth. They gave up R.J. Hampton, who I really do like, and that's why I don't hate this trade for the Orlando Magic either, because R.J. Hampton has potential to be pretty solid in this league as well. They get Gary Harris on a big old contract in the first-round pick. The Bulls also made a trade.
Exactly. They got a pretty good deal. I think they got a really good deal for Aaron Gordon. You get R.J. Hampton, who has potential. You get Gary Harris, who's a pretty solid player, and you get a first-round pick for Aaron Gordon, who really you were kind of at the end of the line with anyway. So, I mean, I didn't really see his career going anywhere in Orlando. He's kind of at this point now where he needs to go to a team that he can help win, who is the Nuggets. I mean, he's definitely going to be a helpful player for them. So, good trade for both teams there.
To bring in Troy Brown Jr., and that's the trade that kind of wove into getting Daniel Tice. And I haven't watched much of Troy Brown Jr. this season, but I do remember when he was in the bubble, when the Washington Wizards were missing Bradley Beal, and they just kind of go out there and play for those 8 or 9 games or whatever it really was. He was pretty productive, so I'm excited to see what he can be in the Chicago Bulls jersey.
I know nothing about Troy Brown Jr. I know he's a solid player, maybe, but I don't know much about him. He's one of those players that just kind of I never pay attention to, so I can't really make a comment on that one.
Talk about the Victor Oladipo trade, because that was...
The Victor Oladipo trade was a absolute steal. Rockets got robbed. Facts. That's all there is to say about it. Kelly Olynyk and who else was it? Kelly Olynyk.
A buzzer beater of a trade. It just happened, and it just broke. It was like Victor Oladipo is going to the Miami Heat, and I was like, "Whoa, does that mean my homie Duncan is traded to?"
That would have been a good trade if they could have got Duncan back for Victor Oladipo. That's a good trade, but the Miami Heat absolutely robbed the Rockets. Straight up robbed them. Just like went to their house, unlocked the door, and just like stole everything in there.
Houston. Did they finally decide that Tyler Hero what? No! It's Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk. That's Avery Bradley. Fleece.
And I think they like swapped rights for the 2022 pick. Bro, Rockets got robbed. I used to like the Rockets because of James Harden. James Harden's my favorite player. Played for the Rockets. So they're going to be, a top 3 team for me that I like, I liked him, but he's gone now, and they got robbed, absolutely robbed.
And now I gotta look at what the Houston Rockets have done with the James Harden trade and be like, bro, you basically traded James Harden for 7 first-round picks, and I don't know if those picks are gonna be valued because
Let's be honest, most of them aren't. Most of them are gonna be late first-round picks, 20s, maybe even like late 20s, for like at least 5 of them, I would say. So, nobody you're drafting is going to ever equal what James Harden was. Ever. You can combine all of them together. They're not going to equal what James Harden was for the Rockets. James Harden was he was the Rockets. I mean, let's be honest here. He left. They went on a 21-game losing streak. James Harden was the Rockets.
The Brooklyn Nets are so good. And they probably are all going to re-sign and keep playing together. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So this is really tough because they could have had Karis LeVert. They could have had Jared Allen, but they decided...
Exactly. You could have had Karis LeVert or Jared Allen, and you ended up with Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley because you wanted Victor Oladipo and John Wall, because you wanted to stay at least a semi-competent team. You would have been a more competent team with Karis LeVert and Jared Allen, honestly. And now the Brooklyn Nets got Jared Allen, or not Brooklyn Nets. They had Jared Allen. Where'd he go? The Cavs, and he's playing out of his mind.
They wanted to stay small and have Christian Wood play their 5 long term. Okay, they send Jared Allen away.
That's the best pickup they got from trading Harden, Christian Wood, and they didn't even get him from trading Harden. They got him. Yeah, actually, they didn't even get him from trading Harden. They got him in free agency. So,
a veteran like Victor Oladipo, because we want to stay relatively competitive after the James Harden trade, they go on a 20-game losing streak, and they trade Victor Oladipo for nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk?
A toaster.
Come on, bro.
They got
Miami should be dancing in the streets. They should be dancing in the streets because that's the place that Victor Oladipo wanted to be. I am pretty confident, unless something go crazy, haywire, him and Jimmy Butler don't get along, I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to re-sign him this offseason. So you traded away 2 players at the...
And even if Victor Oladipo isn't what he was in Indiana for that year or two, he's still a solid starter. He's still a good starting caliber player. You traded Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley, who are both maybe average NBA players at best. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think Victor Oladipo is an all-star anymore, but he's certainly probably the 3rd best player on this Heat team now, depending on what you value, but it's a steal.
At the end of the day, we're in your long-term plans to get a guy that fits the culture to a T.
True.
To a T. Victor Oladipo in Miami makes Miami more scary, especially since they didn't have to give up any real rotational players. Kelly Olynyk was starting games, but let's be honest. Every Heat fan in existence is completely okay with giving up Kelly Olynyk. Have a second All-Star. I haven't been this excited as a Bulls fan since the Derrick Rose years. You know what I'm saying?
He's buzzing.
This is a good moment. We're the 10th seed right now, if I'm not mistaken.
They'll make the
one thing that does scare me, I know we're talking about a lot of Bulls, but this is my channel. You know what I'm saying? That's my favorite team. But when you have so many, so we're things that's in my head right now. Upgrade our point guard positions, All-Star caliber play. Goes into the tunnel. He's putting him as a Raptor, and
he's
dapping up teammates here. Like everybody believed that this.
So yeah, Kyle Lowry gets pulled off the court, dapping up teammates, throwing up peace signs, and then doesn't get traded.
This was his last game as a Raptor, and I guess they didn't get the trade package that they wanted, which I'm okay with them standing on their grounds. Like, no, we're not gonna undersell like the Rock is just different Victor Oladipo. You know what I'm saying? If we're not getting nothing in return, then we're not gonna make this trade because Kyle Lowry is the greatest Raptor in the history of basketball. So we're not.
A little far-fetched there. Maybe the greatest Raptor. Maybe, Vince was great. Kawhi was only there for a year, so I don't think you can give him that title. DeMar was good, but maybe Kyle Lowry. He's probably the most loved player in Raptors history.
I'm just going to give him away for nothing. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean for Kyle? He's got another trade. JJ Redick getting traded to the Orlando or getting traded to the Dallas Mavericks.
He didn't say much about this. That is a good pickup for the Dallas Mavericks. JJ Redick is a very solid player. One of the best shooters in the league, but I was really hoping to see him come to the Clippers. And I know there was talks of him going to the Nets, which would have been... they would have just been bringing Lob City era back. They should have just traded for Chris Paul as well at that point and just had Lob City mixed with James Harden and Kevin Durant.
But what does this mean for Kyle Lowry? Because I know he probably had the idea of potentially playing for a championship team. I'm pretty sure he's not upset about staying in Toronto. So they also made another big trade, trading Norman Powell for Gary Trent and I think it was Rodney Hood, which was probably...
I like this trade for both teams. The Raptors get Gary Trent, who's a pretty solid... How old is Gary Trent? I can't quite remember. I don't think he's that old. Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent is 22. So you get a young guy in Gary Trent who's a very solid player. And you get Rodney Hood, which is kind of whatever, good player, but not really going to do much for you in the future. And you trade away Norman Powell, who's been really like one of the best players on your team. But you're probably not making the playoffs. And if you are, I think you're going to be okay either way because you get a young guy in Gary Trent. And for the Trailblazers, you got one of the best players that the Raptors had. So, and he fits your lineup. He fits everything you're trying to do. And I think he enhances that team. So I like this trade for both teams.
Probably the most confusing trade of the trade deadline. I understand it. I completely understand it for the Toronto Raptors side of it. Let me explain that. Norman Powell has a player option worth like $11 million. He's going to decline that. He's playing too dang on. I forgot what channel we on. Good to just take $11 million. He's going to get paid. So instead, they got another guy who, yes, they will have to pay in Gary Trent, but he fits the timeline of OG Anunoby, of Pascal Siakam a little bit more than what Norman Powell did.
Exactly.
So I understand them making that trade, and Gary Trent has continued to get better from the bubble to now. So I understand why they do that. But from the Trailblazers side, I guess it's just like, hey, Norman Powell's better than Gary Trent right now. Yes, we will have to pay him, but Gary Trent's not better than Norman Powell, so we'll take the better player. It is a bit weird, and even
I think Norman Powell is going to do good for the Trailblazers. So, which Gary Trent was as well, but I like Norman Powell. So, for the Trailblazers.
Even on my timeline, I follow some Trailblazer fans. They don't really understand it either. Maybe they have a long-term goal that I am unaware of. They did end up getting the better player in this trade, but if they traded away Gary Trent to not match whatever the heck Norman Powell gets in free agency, it's kind of a weird trade to me. But again, They did get the best player, and typically getting the best player on a team that is trying to compete for a championship is usually the better thing.
Exactly.
The Toronto Raptors made a decent amount of trades to free up space to make a Kyle Lowry trade. So it's very confusing to me that they weren't able to pull the trigger. They traded Terrence Davis to Sacramento.
You said, they stood on their ground and didn't undersell Kyle Lowry, which was good. I think you don't want to undersell a player because then you end up like the Rockets did,
Matt Thomas
getting robbed. They took his they ran up on the Rockets, said, "Hey, run me your shoes," and they gave them to him.
To the Utah Jazz, and I just thought that meant that they were about to trade Kyle Lowry for 4 players and some draft picks, yada yada yada. But instead, nope, they just freed up more space. The Hawks traded Rajon Rondo to the Clippers for Lou Williams, which is very interesting because,
as a Clippers fan, I love Lou Will, and I really like Rajon Rondo. I think he enhances the team, but I don't know if I do this deal. I don't know how happy I am with this. Rondo's very good in the playoffs. We know that, and that's one thing that we kind of missed last year was having a solid guy to really hold everything together in the playoffs. Obviously, while we blew a 3-1 lead, if Rondo's there, we probably don't blow that. But we lost another one of our best scorers in Lou Williams, so I don't know. I don't really know. But I think I think it's a good trade. But it does kind of make me question things a little bit. I don't know how much I like it, but I guess only time will tell. So I was hoping we would make a deal for like a Kyle Lowry or a JJ Redick or something, but it didn't happen. So
Lou Williams has said that if he got traded from LA, he was going to retire, and that's very interesting to me. Will he actually do it? Have we seen a player that was wanted retire midway through the season? Have we seen that recently, at least? I can't think of anything off the top of my head where, like, he's just like, I'm going to put my papers in to retire. You ain't got to pay me this extra money. And now what does that mean for Atlanta? Because they traded away a player to get a player back, and that player don't want to, I don't know. But
I also don't understand this for Atlanta. I mean, it doesn't matter to me either way which one they do. Or wait, no, didn't they get like a second or something with this as well? I guess I kind of understand it. You get a little bit more draft assets, and you get the... Yeah, it doesn't. Never mind. There's really nothing I can think to make it make sense for the Hawks other than the draft assets. Because to me, Lou Williams doesn't enhance this team. I don't know. The Hawks need to do something because it's like they're not making any progress. They're just not.
It's back to Georgia. What do I think about the trade? I guess the Clippers get a point guard who's better in the playoffs. I mean, that's what you get for Rondo, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
But overall, I feel like this is kind of a wash of a trade.
I guess what Rondo gives us is another ball handler, like another guy who can set up the floor, like a guy who can really set up the floor, really good playmaker. So I guess that's a positive to look at it from.
He also gave up 2 seconds to get.
Oh, we gave it 2 seconds. I guess that makes a little bit more sense for the Hawks now.
Rajon Rondo, right? Or something like that. This trade's kind of
Yeah.
The Clippers didn't get marginally better, if you ask me. George Hill got traded from OKC to Philly. That was their replacement since they weren't in the Kyle Lowry sweepstakes anymore. And that's a good upgrade because they just needed point guard play, backup point guard play.
Yeah,
and that's fine. What scares me a little bit about this, and it's kind of a short-term scare, is that they traded away Tony Bradley. They traded away Vincent Poirier. They traded away pretty much all their bigs other than Dwight Howard, and with Joel Embiid being down with.
Yeah, but I mean the bigs they traded away weren't crazy good or anything. You still got Dwight Howard. Joel is down with injury, but whenever he comes back, they'll be fine.
Injury.
To get a guy like George Hill who can enhance your bench and is a solid point guard. So
you wonder where those minutes are going to get sapped up, especially since George Hill isn't playing right now. Like, he is still going through something, an injury or something. So it's not like he's going to be suiting up in 2 days. At least I don't think he will. So it's very, very interesting trade for them. They get their backup point guard. And I'm guessing Paul Reed, G League MVP, is coming up and getting minutes. He went to DePaul. I'm a fan. He went to a school in the Chicagoland area. I don't know where he's actually from. Paul Reed got me as a fan, so that gives them an opportunity. And I think the Knicks ended up in this trade getting.
Can I have you as a fan? Kenny, if you're watching this.
Some players, I don't know who went where. Izis Bragdakis was in this trade. He's going to Philly. They also sent some second-round picks. Austin Rivers is going to OKC. So I guess that means Tony Bradley is going to Philly. Huh. Joel Embiid had tweeted, we need to build around Tony Bradley. And in OKC, sure, they got Moses Brown playing, who's been solid, but now they got another 7-foot dude who can play well. My team really shook it up, bro. Stuff like that doesn't happen. Stuff like that
He's
doesn't
psyched,
happen.
bro. He's really happy.
The Bulls haven't done a real one, that match. On the next trade, JaVale McGee got traded from Cleveland to Denver for Isaiah Harden.
Another good pickup for Denver. I think Denver really enhanced their front court, starting caliber and backups. JaVale McGee is a very good backup center. I think this is a really good trade for them. Isaiah Hardenstein is kind of JaVale McGee is a better player and definitely better for them.
Hardenstein and 2 future second-round picks. Good upgrade. They didn't really have a backup center. It was all Nikola Jokic and a little bit of Isaiah Hardenstein and some small ball center opportunities. But they make 2 big moves, Aaron Gordon and JaVale McGee, that can help them make a potential championship push, because obviously that's what they got in mind. I feel like that. I mean, I feel like there were more trades in that, but I just went through Woj's Twitter, and that's like it. The Lakers were in serious talks with the Raptors about Kyle Lowry, but they didn't want to trade away Talon.
All right, yeah, they didn't want to trade away Talon Horton Tucker. Stupid. That was dumb of them. The Lakers are not going to win a championship with this roster they have. They're not good enough to beat Brooklyn. They're not good enough to beat, probably not even good enough to beat the other LA team. Probably not even good enough to beat, I don't know. Is there anybody else in the West I can think of? The Jazz, maybe? They're going to have a hard time because they don't have that third guy. And like whenever I watch the Lakers play, it's like, it's just got to be random whoever the offense comes from. I know Lakers fans are going to be like, blah, 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 Talon Horton Tucker's a great player. He's going to be really good. I know he's solid. He's definitely a good future piece. But you needed Kyle Lowry pretty bad, in my opinion, if you wanted to have any chance of beating the Nets. And you didn't get him, and I think that pretty much sealed it for them, in my opinion. And they could prove me wrong. I mean, I'm all for getting proved wrong. But that's all I got for you guys. Like I said, shout out to Kenny. His link will be the first one down in the description below. I will have the link to his main channel, his second channel, and this video. Definitely go check him out. As you guys see here, he's a great YouTuber, makes great content. And that's my reaction to the trade deadline as well. I kind of just bounced off of him instead of like going through what was just Twitter, because I really don't care to go through Twitter. I try to stay off of Twitter for the most part. But anyways, guys, that's all I've got for this video. And if you guys enjoy this kind of NBA content and you want me to talk about my team or some other things related to the NBA, like my old favorite player, Blake Griffin, let me know in the comments below, and I will definitely go through and see what you guys want me to make videos on. If you guys enjoy the NBA content, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because that'll show me you guys want more of it. But anyways, guys, that's all I've got for you today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.